So to go over the way that I normally do it, each slide is set up, and this is like a question and answer based thing. It's not really, I'm gonna pitch myself because I'm in front of you on the stage, right? But it's really a question and answer thing, and it's really kind of like what she was talking about. What we find, and whether or not we've got people that wanna move in here, or they wanna make another life move, what happens is, like Scott will call me, and he'll say, I just talked to this lovely lady, Sue, and she's decided she wants to move in here, and she wants to talk to you about selling, her house. But that's not what the conversation ends up being. The conversation ends up being about everything. Because Sue's like, but what do I do with all my stuff? What do I do with this? And so really this is what this is meant to be, is kind of a overview of how to make it as less stressful as possible on you. Obviously, we do our part if we're involved. If we're not involved, generally it's still much easier and much less stressful to have a realtor involved. Just research who you're working with. So that's why it says ready, set, whoa, right? Because what happens is the call comes in, I'm over there the next day, and then I go, Sue, okay, Sue, what is it you want to do? And she goes, I don't know. I sat up last night all night long. I don't know, what am I gonna do? I haven't done anything, right? So that's where we start. All right, a little bit about us, you already got that. We sold our house, we're great, we're the best. We'll pass through that. I'm totally unprepared, oh no. That is the most usual sort of answer we get. And sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes you're not ready. Sometimes it could take 2 to 3 months or even longer to get you ready, depending on your life situation, who you have around, if it's just you, how big your house is, how much stuff you have, right? Because it's not just as easy as, okay, I'll just go sell your house and then you move here. It's never that easy, right? One of the conversations that unfortunately I have with people all the time that they don't like to hear, and this is, since COVID, this has been a different conversation. A lot of you, just like my mother's 81. My mother has a lot of beautiful furniture and she has a lot of beautiful stuff. Most of her stuff isn't worth anything anymore. I mean, it is, but it's not, basically you could take the stuff that she collected throughout her lifetime, and she's a big fan of cookie jars, and she's a big fan of porcelain dolls and things like that. The value on those things has, and particularly the furnishings. The furnishings have almost no value, unless you've got some really nice mid-century modern Ethan Allen original stuff. We can't even give away furniture to half of the charity places out here. And that's something that's hard to accept, especially if you know it's beautiful furniture and you've got a big house and you spent tens of thousands of dollars buying all that furniture, and I'm the guy that comes in and you say, well, what do we do about that? And I unfortunately say, you see if we can get the people that buy the house to take it so you don't have to deal with it. And that's, so things like that are initial conversations usually. And then a lot of times there's other stuff that is unrelated. My father passed away about a year ago. And I have the situation that I had with my mother quite often. My mother would not sell my father's van. It took a year before she would sell it because that was one of the connections, right? But unfortunately, a lot of times when people decide to move, it's because of life-changing events like that. So there's a lot of things that go into it. As a realtor, we're talking about what I can do to affect it, right? I spend inordinate amounts of time doing things that I really don't have any, education in. I'm not an educated, let's help you get rid of all your contents of your house person, except I have become that over the past 15 years, particularly with the senior market, which I deal with a lot. And Wellington, are you local or are you coming from somewhere else? Delray. So Delray is close enough. Well, so Delray is a little different because Delray's aging population has a lot of places that they go to as they get older. A lot of them downsize or go to Kings Point or whatever it happens to be. Wellington never had a place. Wellington still doesn't really have much. This is the place besides the one at the mall. Like if you don't want to downsize into another community, you don't have that. Now Kings Point is still a community, but there's a ton of other options like this in Delray that just aren't. Abbey Delray South is one that comes to mind. That's everywhere from independent through, assisted through end of life care, right? But the big thing is that anybody that moves into that kind of situation, you're not moving a lot of your stuff, right? So that's what this comes to. You're gonna have to downsize and get rid of a lot of your stuff. It's a lot easier to do it earlier on in the game, but I don't know how far in the game you are, but just realize you're gonna have to make hard decisions about a lot of stuff that you love, because there's probably not gonna be a satisfactory answer for some of it. And that's just something that you need to understand. We used to have auction houses that would at least get you a percentage for your money. We used to be able to do all that. Since COVID, that's really changed. It's become a really, really big sore subject. It's just what it is. If you know anybody that's savvy online, selling stuff online is honestly the best way to do it, but that also takes time, right? So that's from the totally unprepared part. Like I said, we used to be able to help with that a lot. And just now, it's just in South Florida, it's just, there's not a lot of outlets for furnishings and or stuff anymore, because we've had so much brownie in motion. So the customer service industry, what exactly am I gonna do to help you sell your home? Well, the first thing we're gonna do, quite frankly, is get rid of a lot of your junk. You know, the most important thing, particularly with people who have collected things throughout the years and have a large volume of stuff that is beautiful stuff and gorgeous stuff, unfortunately, is to at least hide it from view of the people that we're selling your home to, because most people that are coming to buy your home, they want to buy a home that they can see their stuff in, not necessarily go, you know, they can't see through your stuff to see their stuff, you know what I mean? It's a staging process. It's not high-level staging, it's not high-end staging, but it's a big part of it. You know, when you walk into your home, you don't see the clutter, right? If you walk into some other people's home, you might, because it's not your kind of clutter, you know what I mean? So it's their clutter. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to help you stage your home successfully to give us the best opportunity to sell it as quickly as possible for the most money, because that's the result everybody wants. I used to ask people all the time, what's more important to you, sell it quickly or getting the most money? Most people go, I want both. So we want to sell it as quickly as possible for the most money, which isn't always, they don't always cohabitate, but in general terms we can do that, particularly because our market here in South Florida is still very hot, still a very strong market. So that's the good thing. But to get back to where we're at on this, that is a later thing. And customer service is important, but we can talk about that later. The next thing up here is financial questions. Can I afford my next step? Because that's usually the second thing. Well, Sue, we can sell your house and, you know, well, how much money am I going to get for my house? Right? So there's an easy answer and a tough answer to that. The easy answer is you're going to get whatever we can get for it for you, minus about 7.5%. Outside of commissions, which is 5% is what I charge, and I never charged 6 in years because I always thought 6 was a little much, but I'm not going to go any lower either, because then I can't effectively do my job. All right, and that's a whole nother conversation. But if you use 7.5% of your gross sale as your cost of selling, that's gonna be pretty close, because all the other stuff is between, it's usually around 2%, maybe just a little bit over, and that's your taxes, transfer fees, closing costs, the actual closing costs for the title company that closes it, all those sort of things wrapped up. And if you take roughly 2% for all of that, that's gonna be a pretty close number. There are some variables. Taxes depends on what time of the year, right? We pay in arrears here in Florida, so there could be a larger tax bill that you're responsible for, or it could be a larger tax bill that the buyer is going to be responsible for, and that will change the numbers a little bit, but we can't, you know, and same thing if you're in an HOA, right? If you're in an HOA, depending on how you pay, some people pay quarterly, some people pay monthly, some people pay, you know, annually. That's also going to be a, you know, a sliding scale depending on the time of year or time of month, or, you know, that sort of thing. But in general terms, if you take 7.5%, that's going to give you a really easy, pretty good ballpark. Comprehensive market analysis is the part where we will do a market analysis and say, here's what we think we can get for your home, and we show you. And I don't just go up and say, oh, this is just, here's a piece of paper. We've got a report. It shows all of the comps. It shows all of the reasons we're saying what we're saying. We're also looking at market trends, current market trends, availability in the market. You know, 6 months ago, we had nothing on the market, nothing. Today, we got some product coming onto the market, and we're getting into our regular spring. You know, usually March is the biggest listing month down here. January, we do nothing. February picks up, and then March is the big. So, you know, those things will affect it a little bit. Those are usually more time, like how long is it going to take versus how much, because the values tend to stay the same. But if we can put those two things together for you, we can't tell you all of the answers, because some of the answers are going to be your other financials, but we can tell you we are going to generate this amount of money within a pretty close ballpark in this amount of time for you, and that will be working capital, basically, right? So, you know, these are the things that we try to do to help you guys make the decisions that you need to make going forward, right? There are, if you're just really in a hurry, we have options. We have an instant offer program that our company uses. It's just like one of these, you know, quick buy, whatever things, but they're much more reasonable. They're not going to buy it for the top dollar we can sell it for you, but they're going to, you know, discount it maybe 5%, where some of these other ones want to discount it 20%. So there are other options, but in general terms, right now, we can move houses fairly quickly in this market for, you know, for good money. So that's not really an issue right now. Could it become an issue again? Maybe, but right now, that's, you know, but we do have those options if you need them. The other, I guess, question that a lot of people have about the timing, right? Because Scott's got, what, a couple of units left here? So here's the question, okay, you plan on coming here, but we haven't listed your house yet. How are you gonna secure that? Because, you know, this beautiful community is gonna want money, right? So those are other things that we can work with and help you with, you know, to facilitate that move. But again, the idea is to sell your house as quickly as possible for the most money, and right now in this market, there's a pretty good chance of that happening, all right? Any questions? Hello there.
When's the best time to sell the house?
When you need to sell it, or when you want to sell it. We used to have very defined markets here. We used to have a pre-school market and a post-school market, because one of the largest drivers was school kids down here. That's changed. We used to have our season used to be 3 months. Our season's like 5.5 months now. It's like half the year. So we always have a decent amount of turnover. I will say that if, since COVID, okay, because we got to talk about 2 different markets, or 3 different markets. We had the pre-COVID market, then we had COVID, and then we have the market now. In a lot of ways, the market now resembles a pre-COVID market, but because of the volume of people that moved in, we're still struggling for inventory and stuff like that. And I just mentioned March and April, those are our biggest listing months of the year. So typically you're going to want to get in today. I'm not saying that because today is today, but I mean, you want to get in before that big push so that you don't have the competition, you know, of other people selling a home similar to yours. It's not that big of a difference, honestly, and since COVID, and since we settled down from COVID, we're seeing a pretty consistent transaction rate, right? At some point, the fatigue is gonna set in, because we have a lot of people that are sitting on 3% and 4% mortgages and stuff. They don't want to sell their houses, but things are changing that make them be like, okay, well, we just have to sell. So at a certain point, we're gonna get that, you know, we'll get back to more balanced market and stuff like that. But until we do, then there's not other than marginally, best time to sell your home in South Florida right now. Up north, it's a totally different story, right? You're having a hell of a time trying to sell something up there in, you know, Rhode Island right now, where there's, you know, 2 feet of ice on top of 2 feet of snow. We don't have that here, and our market has become a very year-round market now. So, that answer? Good. Anybody else? All right, let's move on to the next slide. What we try to do, because I'm not so there's a lot of different kind of realtors out there. I actually have a team. I've got 6 agents on my team. I've been doing this for over a decade and a half. I don't rely on 1 or 2 deals to get me through the year, or to take the family to, you know, Disney or whatever it happens to be. It's my career, and I plan on it being my career for a very long time. So what we want to do is make sure that, and there was I can't remember if it was Smith Barney or something, but our best customer is an educated consumer. So we want to educate you as much as we can on everything that's going on, so that when we're talking to you about things, we're not just saying, oh, well, this is what we're going to do, don't worry about it, lay back. We want you to know what we're doing and why we're doing it, because for me, it's very important that you know that, so that if you have any, like if there's something that you're not happy with in that process, we want to know then, because we don't want to wait until we're, you know, further down the line and stuff like that. So all of these different things are just, you know, getting market smart. That is, again, the CMA. We want to make sure that not only are we telling you what your house is worth, but we're showing you why it's worth it, and we're giving you the actual proof in the pudding. We're not just saying, oh, we can get you this for it, right? The smart marketing. So I've been doing this for a long time. In the last 10 years or so, there are some very staple things that myself and my team have done consistently that have been proven to sell properties, quicker, for more money, all that sort of things. I've got the statistics I can show you, but again, this is all about educating you on what to expect. Again, 5% commission all the time, 2.5, it's actually closer to 2. I put 2.5 because I like the hedge on the high side, so when you say it didn't cost me quite that much, I go, that's right, that was good, because I don't want to hear it the other way around, you know what I mean? Because if I say it's going to be a little less and it's a little more, then nobody's happy. So I'd rather hedge on the high side. And then the easy customer experience, and that really depends on you guys, because we literally can, Scott and I were talking to a young lady the other day, I talked to, and she's got a house full of stuff, and she's 92, she goes, all I want to do, I said, well then, if that's the case, then you just hand me the keys and leave, and we will take care of all of it. We can do that, all right? But it's, typically that's not, what most people want to do, because they have, kids around or something, or you, certain area you want to go through all your stuff. She was like, I don't care, I want to be done. And we can do that. But whatever part of it that you don't want to handle, we handle it for you. We're full service. We're not just, doing, the bare minimum and stuff like that. We spend an awful lot of time, emptying out homes, sweeping out homes, doing things like that. And, actually we do a lot of, if you just want to go, then we're going to take over to making sure that the landscaping gets done, all that sort of stuff. You're still going to get the bill, but we'll make sure that it all happens so you don't have to do anything. So the team. So this is a very important part for a lot of people, because having a team is so much more than just having my other agents around so that there's somebody there all the time when you need them. We work with a lot of professionals in the industry. Zach Phillips, who's another Rotarian, is actually my title guy of choice. We don't have to use him, but we tend to, because he gives so much more than just basic title. If we run into legal issues, he's good on that. We have a young lady right now that you might have heard part of the conversation about. Her HOA, I don't know what's going on, but Zach is actually taking the lead with the HOA, and he's on the phone with them every day, because they don't answer my calls anymore. The management company doesn't even answer the owner's calls anymore, but his says attorney on it, so they answer his calls. But that's, a very important part of it. And also, he does everything right through family planning and all that sort of stuff. Mortgage lenders, not gonna really matter to you guys, because if you're coming here, you're not buying anything, but if you were transitioning, having a mortgage lender that can work with you proactively for your sale and your transition into a downsize or a different location is a huge, huge thing. And the most important thing in this business that gets overlooked all the time is, if you call somebody in this business, if it's a realtor, title person, mortgage person, you want them to answer the phone. I can't tell you how many times they do not. It drives me absolutely batty. My biggest obstacle in doing servicing you is dealing with other realtors that won't answer the phone, mortgage companies that won't answer the phone, et cetera. So having a team of, and that's, inspectors, movers. We have a team that I built over the last decade and a half, so we can truly, have a soup to nuts solution if you want that. Of course, you can always go out and research and do your own things too, but if you want it all just handled, we got it covered with the best in the industry, in my estimation. All right. The first time I walked into this place to come see her, I was like, this is a cruise ship. It's not even like, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm poking around, and they gave me kind of free rein. Scott's walking me around. I'm like, I can't believe it. And then Johnny, my friend Johnny, who's also in our Rotary, like, Johnny's got a pharmacy in here. What's going on? Like, it's just insane the amount of stuff you get here. And it is just like a cruise ship to me. It has everything that, outside of a casino, which we could probably work on. That might be helpful. Look, I would move in here. My wife's not letting me do it, but I would move in here right now. I'm AARP, but she's like not. She still thinks she's 16, so anyway, so that one's pretty easy. Pre-planning benefits, and this is really what, the pre-planning it. And if you don't have time to pre-plan it, this is also where we can help come in. The more time you take to think about your move, it's going to be less stressful usually, right? Only if you act on those thoughts though. If you just think about it and you wait till the last minute, it's still going to be last minute, right? But taking the time now, if you're just starting to consider this, to go, okay, what do I have to do? What are my steps? What all do I have to do to facilitate from, yes, we're making the decision, to we're, turning the key at the place here, right? again, we can be helpful in that, not in every aspect, but in a lot of it, because I've done it so much that we're used to talking to people about all the steps that have to be taken. That's all, but it's still, it's still your steps, but we can help walk you through it. And again, stress is the worst, especially, so in my business, the biggest issue that I have with customers, any age, doesn't matter, is the stress level, right? So we do the best that we can to keep your stress level low because that keeps our stress level low. I'm just being honest. I've got to the point where we kind of know pretty well what we're doing, and if we can keep you from being stressed out, it keeps us from being stressed out, because it is very stressful if I'm dealing with you and you're stressed out. It's pretty stressful to me too. So we want to make sure you have a stress-free process as possible. Find out what you really need. That kind of goes back to some of the stuff we were talking about earlier, like what do you really need to keep? What do you really need to do to facilitate your move? Not, because it's very abstract when you first start talking about it, but when you start doing it, it becomes very not abstract. And have time to plan the right move. Again, everybody makes different decisions about going and doing different things for different reasons. I think this is an absolutely wonderful landing spot. Some people might not. Some people might go, you know what, I thought about it and I really don't, I want to go buy just a smaller house in a place like Kings Point or something, a little condo, but having the time to plan the right move. And for some of you, we're already past this point because you're already ready to move, but like I said, we can help it out. Company overview is pretty basic. Again, we do a lot of research. A lot of, and social media, the reason we do that is because I learn a lot on social media, not only about how to sell your home and about who's buying homes, but about what's important to you. Because I'm not a young man by any means, but I'm not the same generation as you. And it helps me when I'm looking at what people your age are talking about and stuff like that to help relate to you. It's a really wonderful tool if you use it in the right way. The abstract of it is that we believe people need services specifically dedicated to this niche market. The senior market is very different than first-time home buyer market. It's very different than the average, what we used to call yuppie market, right? So there are certain things that we find are more helpful to seniors that we deal with, including things like moving services, some of the legal stuff that Zach can represent and help with, because all of a sudden when you start making these moves, people go, well, maybe we need to talk about our will then because we're changing whatever. And conscious design on purpose. We've made our system of working with the senior category. Again, I'm not putting you down. I'm damn close to it myself, and I love my mother to death. But it makes it easier if we can sit down with you and be very clear and concise about here's the steps that we need to take to get you where you need to be. And it becomes a multiple choice thing almost in each of the steps, where all you have to do is go, all right, this is the way we want to go, and then this is the way we want to go, and then this is the way we want to go, and it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, and again, a lot of the stress out of it. Palm Beach County Real Estate Overview. 7,311 properties were on the market 2 days ago when I updated this in central Palm Beach County. Okay, that is basically Delray to Palm Beach Gardens. So there's a lot of properties on the market, comparatively speaking, because 6 months ago there was about 5,000 and change, right? So we have picked it up. So you need to make sure that you have your property stand out if we're talking about selling your home. There are over 20,000 active real estate agents in Palm Beach County. That's a big number, right? That's half of the number in the middle of COVID. We got up over 45,000 agents in just Palm Beach County during COVID. It was insane. The reason I bring that up is that the majority of them don't do much of anything. And if they do, it's one or two deals. And they are literally, I had a closing about 6 months ago, and this is the second time I've actually had the Disney thing happen. The agent on the other side, we were all there at the same time. She goes, oh, that's awesome. We're going to be able to do our Disney trip this year with her customers in front of her. And my customers, and I thought, geez, that's the last thing I'd say in front of customers, that I finally did a sale, so we're going to get to take our vacation. That's just the way I think about it. You want to make sure you choose the right realtor, because quite honestly, a lot of them don't know what they're doing. A lot of them got into this business because it was free cheese during COVID. It literally was. During COVID, almost any agent could sell your house. That's how crazy it was. And now a lot of the agents, I don't blame them. They don't want to go back to their job, whatever the other job was, waiting tables. I wouldn't want to either, but you have to actually learn something and do something to make that happen. And most of them don't want to, they just want free cheese. So don't go work with a free cheese agent. And on that, I just actually, and pat myself on the back because this just happened a couple days ago. I was awarded, and I'm 5th. That's why it says top 5. I'm the 5th top agent in all of Palm Beach County for customer satisfaction. I have a little story on that too. I had, up until a couple months ago, all 5-star ratings. You couldn't find anything but a 5-star rating anywhere on the internet for me. And then the wife of one of my customers is an investor that buys a couple things a year for me. She calls me, she goes, "Oh my God, Andrew, I hit 4, what do I do?" So I said, "I don't know." I called the company, I said, "What do we do?" They said, "You can't do anything." I said, "What do you mean? She hit 4 on accident." That doesn't meet their criteria to change it. So I have a 99.47 rating in customer satisfaction, so just out of 100. The team, this is the core team. I've got other agents that aren't on there because they're either support or they just don't work that much. It's myself, Maria Fernanda Cruz, who's also our Spanish language agent, because in our market, you have to have a Spanish language agent, honestly, and she's awesome. She does a great job. Rotarian also again. Then we got Randy and Leslie Pfeiffer, Rotarians, and they're the ones that actually sold suits to us. I was peripheral in it, I helped out, but Randy and Leslie sold her house. Liz Stansbury and Jenny Lee Gilbert, 2 beautiful young ladies, because it never hurts to have pretty people on your team because it sells tickets. So that's the gist of it. And, you know, thank you for being here. And now any other questions that you have, I'll be more than happy to answer, or I'll stick around afterwards if you want to talk about anything in more depth.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning into Living in South Florida Does Not Suck. Please do subscribe with the notification bell on. If you liked today's guest, you can also get more information about them right here. Like magic, it will appear. Anyways, we love having you here. We love having your friends here. Shout it out from the rooftops. Like us on Facebook. Share it with your friends. We'll see you soon here in beautiful, sunny South Florida.